only then you will be able to teach a salesperson how to do sales when you learn how your customers do a sale for you.
Peter is the Chief Revenue Officer of TaxDome, who had a huge exit from a European company to an American company and now joined a tech company that he's brought from zero ARR on their way to $1 million ARR.
So my first hire was a restaurant owner.
I love that so much. So you took your clients and then you made them your salespeople.
You want to hire someone where you know this person is better than you. And this is a huge ego thing. And as soon as you accept this, then you will have a great leader in your team.
Welcome to the Zeroed In Podcast. I'm your host, John Lallande, a seasoned real estate investment expert and former Marine recon sniper. This podcast is designed for those seeking effective strategies to increase revenue growth through strategic hiring, leadership, and effective tracking. Our focus here is clear and direct. We provide actionable insights from successful founders and growth experts. Whether you're establishing a new business or aiming to scale an existing one, our episodes offer the essential advice you need for practical business growth. Lock and load, zero in, and get ready to scale. Welcome to the Zeroed In Podcast. I'm your host, John Lallande, here with Petar Iliev. Peter is the Chief Revenue Officer of TaxDome, who had a huge exit from a European company to an American company and now joined a tech company that he's brought from zero ARR all the way up to $1 million ARR, on their way to $1 million ARR. So Peter is a really good friend of mine and a mentor. And Peter is not somebody that you see all over social media talking about how he blew up this tech company, but I have learned so much from him, and I'm really excited to dive in what we're going to be talking about today. So mainly we're going to be focused on how he grew a sales team, or an entire team from 0 people all the way to 300 people. So Peter, thanks so much for coming on, man. Really excited about this.
Thank you for having me, John. I'm happy to have you to be here and try to share some of my experience, what we've done before, and
Awesome,
what I think is important. What I think is important to consider. And depending on the industry you are in, of course.
Can you walk us through your origin story? So from the first company, I just want to touch on from the first company all the way to selling it to where you're at now at TaxDome. How did you get from A to B?
Well, the first time, everything starts with an idea, obviously. And then I'm a huge numbers fan. So what I do usually is I do a lot of research in the beginning, So, which market I'm entering. Is this really a pain? And then I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I always recommend to read about the product market fit. There's a very good article from Superhuman. I really recommend reading it. So what I understand under the product market fit is, you want to develop a product or you want to have a service product for a market, and this market should come to you organically. And this is when you have the perfect product, perfect service for this specific market. And as much as more niche you go, it's easier and simpler it is for your strategy and in communication, but also for your sales team in the end of the day. So that's what we did, in the beginning, we had a pain point. We developed a product for this specific market. And we really focused on this experience that our customers have a very good experience, and then they start talking about us. So before you even, go out and make your first sale or hire your first salesperson, you want to have your customers doing the sale. So I think this is the most important thing, because only then you will be able to teach a salesperson how to do sales when you learn how your customers do a sale for you. I think this is something what I learned during all my time. You won't be as good you won't be a better salesman than the customer which does a sale for you. So recommendation, referral. And we're observing, we're really listening to our customers. What do they really want? How do they recommend us? Why other customers come to us? And what were those trigger points, what were those slogans or keywords they really liked from their colleague or their market companion, that they came and, to us and said, hey, I want to use this tool too, So we were in the restaurant industry back then, and And the restaurant business, is a very hard one. If I have to make again a decision, I would never go into the restaurant industry. And then, you want to understand, why they're coming, as mentioned. And afterwards, you ask a very specific question. Before you start doing sale, you have your, let's say, 10 customers, 10 turnarounds. And then you ask them, how will you feel if we remove the product or the service now from you? How will you feel? And there's only one answer to it, There's no, they don't have to start a monologue or something. There's one answer. And, most of the time they will say, I will probably lose money. I will be very sad. I'll probably kill myself or something like this. So then, okay, they are really hooked with your product. And this is, when okay, you hit this product market fit. Okay. And obviously, then you ask a follow-up question. Okay, but what is the real one feature which really keeps you hooked at our tool? What is this one single service which you really value from our product? And then they tell you, X or epsilon. And this is the one-liner you should create around, So when those 10, 20 customers tell you all the same thing, what is it, that would make them so sad when you remove the product or the service? This is your value proposition. This is really the value you provide in the end of the day for your market. And then you go create your ICP, all these sales things, which everyone does. And then you target those people and say, hey, actually say this one sentence, which everyone said, hey, why they will be sad about. And everyone who will say, open their eyes and say, actually, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. That's exactly my pain right now. And then you understood your market. And then you start hiring your first salesperson, explaining them all those things. Very important, introducing him to your existing customers to create a relationship and everything. And then you want, of course, that they have a very familiar, relationship with your existing customers, but also to understand what the pain points are. And then you let him do the work, because in the end of the day, he's your expert. You hire someone who is better than you. So you're not going to tell your salesperson what they have to do, how they're going to sell, because you hired them because you trust in his skills as an expert. And then usually, everyone creates this own authentic individual sales process. And I don't know, I think I gave you once this book to recommend it once this book, but I recommend everyone to read this book. It's called Sales Hiring Formula, from the HubSpot guy. He was an engineer and then joined HubSpot in the very, very early days and created this beautiful company and sales team. And, he wrote this book, Sales Hiring Formula, and there are these 5 criteria of a good salesperson. And these 5 criteria are coachability, curiosity, prior success, intelligence, and work ethic. And it's up to you how you identify that those 5 characteristics are filled out for this salesperson towards your company, towards your service. For example, not everyone, says, okay, 2 plus 2 is okay, it's 4. Okay, he's intelligent. Ask your own questions. What do you think he's intelligent enough for, for this service he's going to do? And I really followed this hiring formula, and it changed everything. If you ask me, it changed how people, come on board, how they supported each other, and they're all the same like-minded people. When you go out there and you talk to people, and then there's something off, but then you meet with someone else and they're like the same mindset like you. And this is what you want to create in your sales team. You want them to feel like, oh man, they brought another person that is like me. And then when you get this feedback from the team, then you did a good job.
I love that, man. I want to talk about the product market fit. So what would you tell someone that gets stuck in like that analysis paralysis phase? Because a lot of people want to start a business, right? And the chances of you getting it right the first time are pretty rare. You're not going to have it perfect the first time. So what would you tell somebody that is kind of stuck doing a bunch of research on, okay, I want to make sure I have the perfect product, but isn't out there like, pushing the sales, trying to get new customers so they can get feedback? How do you make that kind of change? How do you form that to where you start to develop the perfect product?
Well, it's all a lean process. It's all an iterative process where you want to launch a product, you want to launch your service. And then, you really go niche into your target audience or in your ICP, in your ideal customer profile. I would say, or if your team needs to start selling more than your product have, then you're behind. If your team is selling too easily, then you are with the product too far or with your service too far. Then you have over-engineered. You know what I mean? So I think you need to listen very carefully to your sales team when they come with the feedback, say, this month we had a very good month. Then you need to ask yourself, why? Why did we had such a good month? It can be also negative for your product or for your service, because maybe we are over-engineered or we have not enough salespeople. So, and on the other side, of course, I sold it, but I had to say X and epsilon, but we don't have it. Well, then you're a little bit behind with your product. It is not something negative. Don't get me wrong. This is not something negative. I always recommend, that the sales team is, in the end of the day, your first researcher. And if he sells something which you don't have, then your development should better look into it, or your product team should better look into it, because this is most probably something your market needs.
Interesting. And what was your first hire like? So, even in the restaurant business, how much did you do before you go, okay, I'm ready? It sounds like you had this plan to say, what would you do without our product? Why are people coming to us? So training them would be easy, but how did you know you were ready to hire that first person?
So that's actually a funny story. So my first hire was a restaurant owner. So what I believed is, no one knows the industry better than my own customer, right? And I really thought the whole time, who understands the value of the product, but also who knows the industry. And we managed to convince one of our customers to say, hey, join us as a sales team member, and you run your business, hire a manager to run your restaurant, but make the money with us. And he joined, and we learned so much things. So I really tried to have our first sales hire that we learned so much from this person. And there was no better than someone from the industry. So that's what I would really recommend. We did the same with TaxDome now too. Not in the beginning, but now we have several accountants working for TaxDome, selling TaxDome. And I really recommend doing this too. You want to have someone who, maybe he has sold a house or he was looking to buy a house, and now he knows how difficult it is. Maybe just ask him, hey, do you want to come into this business because you know how it is? What your pain points back there were?
I love that so much. So you took your clients and then you made them your salespeople, because your clients understand. I mean, the salespeople now understand the pain points. They know everything that they're going for. So you took the clients and made them salespeople. I love that. I think that's genius. So you built that company up, in the restaurant business. You ended up exiting from it. How did you find TaxDome? How did TaxDome find you? Because from what I understand, you guys didn't start it all together, correct?
Exactly. So, the founders, we got in a conversation, we found each other, and, we were talking. They were in a phase where they knew already that the product is good, and that there was a market already there, there were a revenue already there, and they wanted to expand TaxDome outside of the US. In Europe, I had the European experience because I'm Austrian. And yeah, I joined as a DACH manager at TaxDome. I wanted to distribute the product in the German speaking area in Europe. And well, after 3 months, we already expanded to other countries like Italy, France, Nordics, Spain, Portugal. And, after a year, I took over the whole global business development as a chief revenue officer, just because, I feel like, with the founders at TaxDome, we got very good, we align very well. We share the same vision. The same ideas. There's never a point of arguing if we want to go in a direction. We always think the same. Back to the point of bringing in like-minded people. I think they knew what they're doing, and they understood me very fast that, we are like-minded, and, and that's how I, in the beginning, if they listen to it, in the beginning, I didn't believe a lot in the product, but I believed in them. I knew that they're going to do huge things, and together we will do even better things. And that's why I joined, and now, of course, I love everything what we do.
Yeah. What was the company like when you first joined? Were there employees? Was there like a good structure there?
There was a little customer success team, I think of 5 people. And now the business development team is over 100. Like in total, we are now over 300 people at TaxDome. But the business development team is a little bit over 100 people.
That's incredible, man. And so how do you decide what to start tackling first, right? You come on board, and how do you decide what your priority is? Because you're walking into a business that, at the time when you first started, you don't know much about, right? So how do you decide what to do?
As a person who joins a company, I would always recommend to listen, to listen to the team members, to listen to the customers. So don't be afraid to call a customer as a new person or a former customer and just tell him, hey, how was your experience? Why did you decide to use the service? How was your experience during using the service? I saw you're not using the service anymore. So also talk to churned customers, why did you stop using this product? Or you talk also to prospects which never converted. Also talk to them and say, hey, I saw that you considered our product. Why didn't you buy it? I would do those check boxes in the very, very early stage. I would even say the first week. Finish, because then, your training starts and everything, and you enter this training with a knowledge of market understanding, of you understand the market, you understand your customers, and maybe you start thinking about, oh, well, maybe our customers, which we thought our customers or audiences, is not even our target audience. Maybe we need to change this now.
Yeah. Interesting. So then were you sitting in a sales role, just selling the product at the beginning? Is that how it started? Okay. And so So when did you feel like you were ready to start building a sales team with TaxDome?
Well, that's a good question. When do I feel ready? As I mentioned in the beginning, you want to have an organic growth as much as possible, and in our case at TaxDome, we have a funnel with a trial and then conversion. So when an accounting firm finds us, they sign up on a demo or sign up for a trial, and then we don't do sales. We just show them how to implement TaxDome and utilize TaxDome for their firm. To have all those benefits which we know that they're gonna have, and they realize afterwards very fast. And this is, in the end of the day, why they decide to continue using TaxDome. I don't know if that's the usual sale, like to convince someone to use or to buy your product or service. It's more like, skip this part. Just be so confident and start implementing this thing. Don't even question, hey, do you want to move forward? Just assume it and say, let's import your clients. Let's enter your informations. And then they will have to decide, do I want to do this or not? But if you give them the stage, of do you want to move forward, then, you're coming up with a question they maybe didn't even think about it. So they may question you. So why are you insecure? Why are you asking me this?
Yeah. Interesting. And how long ago was that when you were sitting in the sales role and you didn't have any salespeople on time frame?
That was 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Yeah.
And how many salespeople do you have now?
Like inbound, outbound, I think there are almost 30 people now. And then, we have customer support, we have support level 2, we have key account managers, and yeah, all in total now 100.
So guys, Peter is super humble. But he's built a company from 0 employees to 30 salespeople, over 300 people total, in just 3 years. So I want to talk about, obviously, one of your biggest focuses is making the product so good, right, that it starts to sell itself, right? You're always compounding organically, which I love. But when you're bringing people on, right, how do you sell that vision to people at the beginning? Because at the beginning, it's just you. And I think a lot of people struggle with this, is hiring their first salesperson, because it's just you and you have to tell them, hey, nobody else is really making money here. I mean, you could go out and hire a customer, a past customer like you did, which I think is ingenious, right? But how do you sell the vision of the company to get this high level talent that is above kind of what you're normally used to?
That's actually a very good question, John. So I think this is super difficult. And I tried and failed several times. How do I communicate, the passion? How do you transmit the passion, for your service? How do you tell someone that you are the special company? He chose the right company, and this is super difficult. And I did it I tried to do it by myself various times and I failed. And then one day I realized it's not you who is doing this. It's the customer who is going to do this. So that's why we for example, what we do at TaxDome, or I have seen other companies do it a lot. They put them as soon as possible to talk with customers. And what they also do is they show reviews, and testimonials. So if you have testimonials or client stories, show it immediately to your new team members. Then they can see, oh wow, people love this product. I will have easy game to sell this product, to sell this service. And then, then they get passionate about, because when a customer never talked to you because a new person, but they immediately welcome you as, oh no, that's awesome. And you will have so much fun at this company. We're so happy that we are customers. This is how you create this, this passion, what you want to have in every sales team member. And then they come to me and say, man, I just had the first conversation with a customer. I can't wait to be out there. I can't wait. And, I would recommend doing this. Yeah.
I love that. I never would have thought about that. Ask your customers to talk to your future potential employees, right? Because what I love about everything that you're saying is your customers do all of the lifting for you because the product is so good. And so you don't have to have so much push from you, from your sales team, from trying to go find the absolute best talent because the product is good. So everything else is easy. It's like, oh, you're not sure if you want to come join our company? You're not sure if you believe in our vision? Go talk to our customers. Oh, you're not sure if you want to join our sales team? You're not sure how easy it is going to be successful? Go talk to our customers. And so I love that. And it's something that I know that in our industry, we don't lean into enough, right? People are spinning their wheels a lot in the real estate industry on not focusing enough on the product and trying so hard to go get new talent and find the best salespeople and everything like that. So that's really, really good, man. I really like that. And so I think I know the answer to this. I'm going to take out, because the product is good and because you guys did so much research up front, it has to be a huge factor. Other than that, what do you think contributed to you guys growing so fast in such a little period of time?
Just one thing to add on to the reviews and talking to the customers. A lot of companies, I think they make the mistake, or not the mistake, but they don't think about it. When you collect those testimonials and customer reviews, they think, the marketing thinks, this is to create credibility and awareness that this is a real product and people like this. So other prospects, they think, okay, this is also something for me. But you need to understand that this is also super valuable for your team. And I'm not talking only about the sales team. For across the team, everyone who works at this company, they want to read positive reviews of your company, of your product, of your service. This is the thing what motivates them too, So if you work at the company and for a year or for 6 months, you don't hear a positive review from your customer, well, how do you get additional motivation? How do you get this push like, I want to also to bring a positive review? So as you correctly said, yes, I think that real estate, this is a big thing because you have such a high turnaround on those customers and those one-time customers. People forget the value of this. And if I would be in the real estate, I would really focus on collecting those, especially video testimonials, and place them everywhere, because nothing communicates your value proposition better than a customer, like I said in the beginning. So just as an add-on to your question of what was it? Can you repeat, please?
So other than the product being great, right? What do you think contributed to your company growing
Okay.
so
Yeah.
quickly?
I would say you want to identify. So, so in German we call it milking the cow. So you really want to identify, back to the product market fit point. You really want to identify which market is right now, or which part of the market of your market share is right now the most approachable with the product and service you have. So you really need to identify, because once you have a service or product, a lot of people make the mistake, and that's why I'm always preaching about niche. They always think, my product is for everyone, and you lose so easy focus. You will collect so many feedbacks, but in the end of the day, it's not valuable because you cannot address everyone. So that's what we did. We really focused on a such niche like the accounting industry, but not only this niche. We continue diving deeper and say, okay, what firm size do they need to have? What services do they offer? For example, an accountant, he can offer accounting tax services to all people, or they only do to dentists or to pharmacists. And try, if you have, let's say, or to real estate, and if you see an accountant, accounting firm only having real estate clients, and he is super happy because all the templates, all the product is, and the experience is positive for him, then make your research and check how many thousands of accounting firms deal with real estate clients, and reach them too and say, hey, look, your direct competitor is using TaxDome and he's happy with it and the clients are happy with it. Use it too, look at it and see why they're using it.
Yeah.
And this is, what I'm talking about, milking the cow. You want to really show your clients that you understand them as deep as possible, as niche as possible, and B, that the product is made for them. And this is, where, you target this. Once you reach, 60, 70, 80% of this market share of these 1,000 firms, let's say, then you move to the next one. And in the end of the day, after a year or 2 years, you have maybe probably already 100 of those niche audiences. And if you step back and you look at it, then you probably have already a broad spectrum of your market covered. So in the end of the day, this is what makes it grow very fast and easy.
So that is from a revenue standpoint, from getting people onboarded. How do you keep up? I mean, you got to be hiring all the time to keep up with the size of the company. You've told me a little bit about how you attract the talent, right? If you have somebody that you really want, hey, go talk to our customers. What questions, though, are you asking specifically to figure out this is a right culture fit for our company?
Growing the company in this pace is quite difficult. I made a lot of mistakes. When I think back over these 3 years now, I could have done so many things better, because it's just so difficult to find those like-minded people, those people who fit in this culture. And that's why I mentioned in the beginning, the sales hiring formula. Call it however you want, but just what I did is I went to my top 3 people. Let's go to your top 3 salespeople and interview them. Ask them questions and try to understand them, how they are built. What characteristics are they? Are they nice? Are they hungry? Are they, do they like martial arts? Do they like playing dart? What do they have all in common? And then you create those own questions for your future sales team members. And you look, do they fall into these criteria of my top 3 performers? Because then most likely they will also be top performers. So this is what I would recommend doing. Like, really understand who are your top 3. If you have, only top 1 performer and all the other 5 or 6 are not, then, you have done some things wrong previously, or you lowered your standards. There's this very beautiful sentence from the book Amp It Up. He says, if you lower your standards, then things are not getting done the way you want to be. Just to tell you good then. Yeah. So really interview your top 3 performers, find the patterns, what do they have in common, and try when you hire someone new that if you have, those 5 things they have in common, try at least that 3 of them, these other new people also have in common. Don't expect to find, the perfect match, like, on those.
Yeah.
But see it like a dating app, like you really want to match those things with your existing employee already have, and then, try to bring someone on who has the same, who matches those checkboxes.
And what about hiring director level and C level that, maybe you don't have somebody, you don't have a profile for them already? What are you looking for then?
I mean, if you look now, for head offs or VPs, here's the thing I started doing, and you want to hire someone where this person is better than you. And this is a huge ego thing, This is a huge ego thing, and you better step back, being thinking that the market or the product the best, and hire someone where you think, hey, this person knows more than me, or is just better than me. And as soon as you accept this and realize this, then you will have a great leader in your team. So if you're looking to hire a leader, a manager or leader in your company, then lower your ego and start looking for someone where, this guy's better than me. So I need this person. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And a lot of times, we find these people that are better than us, right? And we think, okay, well, why would this person come work for me? They're better than me. Why would they come work for me, right? But what you're saying is, if you've got the right product, you've done the right research, then selling the vision at that point is easy. So for me, that was something that clicked, right? Because if they're better than you at everything and your product isn't good, obviously they're not going to come work for you. But if they're better than you at their thing and you've got an incredible product and an incredible vision, it's like, hey, you can run here. Like, you've actually got a chance to build something great. So I love that, man.
Right. Just to make it clear, there are people, out there, there are millions of people which are better than us, billion people, but they don't have the tool for it. They don't have the tool to prove themselves that they are better than you. So give them the tool where they will shine.
Man, that's so good. And so as a chief revenue officer, I want to kind of change directions here. Talk about your day-to-day. What does a successful chief revenue officer do what is your main focus at this point? And what does your day-to-day look like?
I think this depends on the industry you are and on your product.
Mm-hmm.
And, especially, I think once you're in C-level, everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. What I personally do is I really focus on growth, which distracts me, and maybe that's not always positive, but then I look away from the problems we have inside, the team. When I say problems, like maybe some numbers are not matching or some targets are not hit, which is, I think, something normal. And I personally think if you waste too much time on optimizing those numbers, you lose focus on growth. So that's why I always focus on growth first and see what is the potential I can tackle and new things I can do versus am I a little bit controversial, but am I milking the cow enough? Because I believe you cannot go 100% because they're competitors. There's always a market share you have. There's always, a point where you need to share the market. So never aim to this 100% of market share. Make your maths, if there are 5-6 competitors in your region or, in your country, then understand that max what you can hit is 50% as a market leader, 51% you're already market leader, and, or if you have, let's say 6-7 competitors, break it down and have, more than, 3 of them or something like that. And once I hit these numbers, then I know, okay, whatever they overperform now is already above my expectations. So that's why I will be anyway happy. So that's why I always focus, day by day on growth. What does this mean in real activity? Well, usually, what I do in the beginning, every time when I log in, I see I look at the customers which converted the last day. So I don't know why I'm doing this. I think mainly because I want to see if I see a switch of the trend of our market. So, but I really started doing this like since a year, 1.5 years. Who converted the day before? And then, I have them always in my mind. So who was this profile? Who was this persona? Does this fit in our current audience, or is it something totally different? And then, if I see someone totally different and I see it next day again and the next day again, then I know, oh, okay, I think a new vertical is coming up. A new market segment is coming up. Maybe I need to go up market. Maybe a new cohort is getting created. And this is, what helps me again then to grow, because then I see I don't tackle a new audience by thinking this is our new market. I tackle them by seeing if they come organically to me already or to us, then I know there's a potential to do also outreach, outbound. If inbound, they come into inbound and okay, this is a new segment, then I start also doing the outbound there. But I would never go somewhere and say to the team, start there, because I think this is a good idea, because most probably they will fail and you cannot give them the customer experience. Like I said in the beginning, they cannot learn from the customer. So, I think a lot of sales leaders, they make the mistake. They get the push, from the management, from the investors. They say, oh no, we need to go into new markets and everything. And then they say, maybe this is a good idea, or maybe this, and then they hire 10 people and attack it. Most probably you will fail. So don't do this mistake. Look at your customers. Where are they coming from? Are some out of your pattern? Are some of them not the usual profile you get? And then understand, is this something which repeats? Is this something you see potential? Talk to them. See if your product matches also their needs. And if yes, then hire the other people. Maybe do your first calls alone. I think a sales leader should always do calls. Till today, I talk to our customers. There's no day I don't talk to them. I mean, not daily, but definitely weekly. I talk to our new customers, existing customers. Everyone should talk to their customers, in whatever position you are in sales. Otherwise, how will you bring your team value if you don't even know anymore what your customers do and need? So yeah, this is one of the things I do. I look at the customers, which converted. So to identify, are we in the same track? Do we need to change them? Do we need to adapt something? And the other thing is I look at the numbers. But when I say the numbers, I don't look at the quarters, how they performed. So here's the thing: what I identified with the team members is, everyone can relate to this. Maybe when you have salespeople, they hit those numbers super high in the beginning, So they make those 400 calls a week, and schedule those demos like 10, 20 demos a week, and super happy. And then it goes down to 300, 250 a week. And what I do is I have this little dashboard with the calls everyone hits, and then I always have the top week on the top of every team member. And then I look who have a little tolerance, from how low they can go, that I'm still think that they're doing a great job, because I know you hit the peaks, like in every sport, you hit the peaks maybe once or twice, and that's normal because you cannot always perform as a peak. But what I want them is to perform like in a marathon, In the end of the day, it's a marathon and it's not a sprint. So what you want to do is to see, are they getting, why the numbers are going down? They are not performing, or more important, the leads they're getting are not performing. So this is what you need to understand, and this is, my biggest fear is that they wake up one day, and that's why I'm matching always our previous, the customers from the previous day, is that we lost track of our target audience, and we're calling people which are not even, which they can't even be our customer, because it's not our audience anymore. And that's why I always do those two things to match the performance with the converted customers, to see, is there any, is it in English, discrepancy? Is there any differences which I should, or we should react? And that's actually, when I do this every day, then everything else comes then from alone. Do I have to adjust? Do I have to grow? Do I have to come up with a new strategy? And I think that's how the daily life is for me at TaxDome.
I love that because you have a pulse of everything going on. You have a pulse of what's going on the front end of your business, right? And you're the chief revenue officer. So you need to understand, you need to be on the front lines to an extent, but that doesn't mean that you're all day making sales calls, but you're just understanding what data you need to look at to be able to make the best decisions for your business. So I did have a question on that, which I think is, you mentioned that you've got a dashboard, right? You have the minimum metrics that your team can hit, and then obviously they have the peaks. I love that you said that because I know that I'm guilty of this is, my rep hits a peak and I go, oh, so you can do that. That's your new standard, right? It's like, the one time that you're rolling with a purple belt and, you tap them and then the instructor says, oh, so you're a purple belt now. You can tap all purple belts, right? And that's just not how it works, right? So when they are starting to dip below your threshold, walk me through what that conversation looks like. How do you motivate them to start hitting their numbers again? What does that conversation look like for you?
I hope I'm not going to have a lot of those conversations, but when I have those conversations, it's mostly that I try to understand, do they have any personal issues, because as you said, in sports, most of the times, if you don't perform high, you have some issues going on personally. If your personal life is not good, your work life or your performance life is not, it's not there where you want it to be. And so what usually I do is, ask them, hey, how is going at home? Is everything good? How did you sleep? How is family? How is friends? Car, everything is good. And then most of the times I would say 90% of the times it's something in the personal life when they not perform. And why I value TaxDome so much is that TaxDome always cares about their employees, always first. And in these years I'm at TaxDome, there have been earthquakes, wars, tsunamis, flooding, apartments, all those things. There was always the case that TaxDome said, let us take care of this with no questions, took the money immediately, another apartment, fixed the renovation, even a new house, all those things. And I think once you realize that this is the only way how your team can perform when they log out at work, that they're happy at home, that they're happy in their life, then you can be sure that they will perform at work. So you really want to take care of them. I've seen a lot of leaders, or sales team members, they come to us and say, normally when I don't hit the numbers, that the team leader or my team lead comes to me and say, why are you not hitting these numbers? You hit those numbers and what is going wrong? Let me change the leads. Let me change the tool. Nah, man, just listen to your team member, maybe invite him to a beer or whatever you want, maybe send him home just for the day. But just take care of those people, because in the end of the day, they come to work because they believe in your company. So show them also as a company that you believe in them. And most of the time you will be right with this strategy. Of course, there are always some exceptions, but this is not then your fault. This is then you did everything wrong, but it was just not meant to be done with this person.
I love that, man. I'm so guilty of changing things because my sales team isn't performing and going straight to, and right when you said that when you said a lot of sales leaders are guilty of going to change things because their sales team isn't performing, it brings me back to a time when I had a sales team that wasn't performing, specifically one person, and then immediately started going, okay, must be the leads must be changing, the market must be changing, it must be all of these other things, and it's funny because what are the chances that those things are changing compared to like 2 or 3 salespeople, right? Or at least one salesperson just having a rut, like just going through a tough time. So
that's one thing, John, just to interrupt. That's your job, that's my job to know that the numbers, the leads and the audience where we are is correct. That's why I'm doing those things in the beginning. I told you, I check which of our previous customers. I check what the performance is. Is everything matched in the direction I am setting it up? I'm thinking about it, because then you will never question the performance, the lack of performance of an employee, that it comes from this number, because you're in control of it. So that's why I'm saying most probably it is them personally. Does this make sense?
It makes 100% sense. So how do you know that, okay, they have something going on personally, but and maybe this is not all the time, but at some point they do have some stuff personally. But it's like, hey, you also have to figure out your own stuff too. An earthquake, natural disaster, that's one thing. But we've got a rep that my girlfriend broke up with me. They get back together, they break up again. He's dealing with that over a period of time, right? Are you the one having that conversation of, hey, dude, maybe you need to just like get your life together first? Or how do you have that conversation with those reps when the family issues or the personal issues keep getting in the way of the result?
Well, that's why you need to hire good, because that's why I told you at the beginning, use this hiring formula, set it up however it works for you, because you want to have the right work ethic. I told you those points, curiosity, work ethic, intelligence, prior success. So when you hire the person with the right work ethic, when they tell you, hey, I broke up with my boyfriend or girlfriend and there's some issues, most probably when you tell them, all right, man, take some time off and let me know if I can do something, they will tell you, no, I want to work because this is what keeps me going. I need a routine. And then you hired well. If they don't say this, I wouldn't say that you didn't hire well, but maybe you need to change your hiring hiring strategy.
Yeah,
sales. And if they say, hey man, I want to continue work, but maybe 2 days sounds good. Also fair, also fine. Like then give them those 2 days. I believe in Aktie ist Reaktion from Newton. If you give, they will give back. If they don't, then it was your mistake, because then you didn't hire the right person.
I love that, man. Yeah. The sales acceleration formula is actually right there on my shelf. That's it's a book that Peter gave me, and I've gone through it at least 2 or 3 times now, created a spreadsheet. We bring everybody through our hiring process. We create the exact spreadsheet where they have a weight. Now, that does take practice to get good at it, because I've used that exact formula and hired the wrong people, but it's because I wasn't good at identifying those characteristics and asking the right questions, right? So understand that if you're listening to this, you want to go out and implement, you read the book, you're never going to be perfect the first time. It's not like, oh, I read the sales acceleration formula. It's a math formula to make $10 million a year. It's not necessarily that. You have to learn, you have to get better along the way. And you can really only do that by practice and talking to people that have done things that are bigger than you have.
Right. I mean, exactly, especially when you're a small team, like with five people total, you don't hire every week, we hire every week 2-3 people. So for us, it's the iteration phase of improving this process, the recruiting and the hiring process is much easier and faster than a person who hires maybe 2 times a year, because maybe those 2 times will be still bad, and next year the 3rd hire will be good. For us, we can have probably better results already in 3 weeks, when we adapt something. So that's, that's the good thing of being a fast growing big company, or, a medium company like us, because if you focus on optimizing and improving, you can improve much faster, because you can learn much faster through those errors. But if you don't, if you have a small team, then you cannot implement those learnings as fast as you want.
I love that. And you mentioned a few times growing fast, like there's obviously the benefits, like, the revenue that comes in, your processes, they improve quicker because you're getting more reps, right? We also mentioned that you've made a bunch of mistakes that maybe you wouldn't have. What would you say are your top 2 to 3 mistakes that you've really learned a lot from? You wish if you could go back, you would have fixed these things to grow the company faster.
So one of the mistakes I did in the beginning, I would say, is to have a too long hiring process. I know you will read articles and books about having a assess band and 3-4 interview process. We have one interview, and that's it. I don't ask for any assessment, and it's much better now, because if you let someone work so much for getting this job, but again, this is very controversial with other opinions. It works for me, it works for me because I think this is the culture we created at TaxDome is. So the mistake I did is too long hiring process because I felt like I exhausted already a future team member before they even joining TaxDome with those hiring, with, thinking too much. And the other thing is what you do with this long hiring process is you distract him from his focus of selling at TaxDome. When he talks to this, you put too much in his mind or in her mind to think about, there's so many things I have to think about TaxDome. But in the end of the day, you hire him for one thing and to make revenue, right? And to be happy. And that's what what I changed now with this one interview hiring process is I listen to them. I listen to those things, those questions I have. I listen to the answers. And then I tell them, well, what do you think about it? And then when they say, well, actually, I just want to start, then let them start, man. Just let them start. You need, if you run a business, you should calculate in your finance plan people you hire and you're going to lose them. This is a business cost. You need to accept them. And as soon as you calculate them in your finance plan, as easier your life will be. Calculate a year, 20, 30K a year, lost money because of unsuccessful hires. And then you will never cry after them because you have them anyway in your finance plan. You calculated the money. Yeah. And so this is something, I changed and I did, and I felt terrible with this over-engineered hiring process. The other thing is micromanagement. I micromanaged in the beginning too much, always after the people thinking, why they're not doing this. And then I realized, well, it's just when you micromanage people the whole time, you try to fix your problems you have set up in the end of the day. Because instead of going to them and tell them what to do, what they did wrongly, step back and think about, what do I have to change in the process I have set up that they don't even get into the situation? So identify what the issues they have or the problems they're facing. And instead of going to fix it by them, step back and fix it with yourself and the process you have set up. So don't give them even the possibility to get into this use case or in this issue. So this is something I also needed to learn, and it's worked out perfectly now. I have with each team a weekly sync, and I just listen there. They just share their complaints, their feedbacks, and then I know, okay, what do I have to change in my process that they don't have this issue anymore or these problems. And the other thing is something which I think I told you already, but just for everyone, is about lead distribution and lead velocity rate. So growing a team, it means that you have a lot of leads and a lot of prospects. So a lot of people, when they hire new team members or salespeople, they just put them there and say, okay, start also calling. So, and what I changed is, or what we changed at TaxDome is that we distribute the source of our leads equally to our team members. So what does this mean? It means, let's say in our case, we have leads from a lot of sources. Let's say event, a webinar, a lead magnet on our website or blog, and they're all, call them scored, or all these fancy words, which salespeople do now. So they all have their own value as a lead. And what you want to do is every team member has their own pipeline, but you don't put one team member to the webinar pipeline and the other team member to the event pipeline, because how are you going to know which one is a better performer? So what you do is you put them all together, those leads in the top, and then distribute them equally to the team members. Then every team member has 10 leads from event, 10 leads from webinar, 10 leads from cold calling, 10 leads from lead magnet. And then when everyone makes 30K, let's say, or XK revenue per month, and someone does only epsilon, then that he's not a good performer, because the leads are all the same. There's no excuse why someone should not reach the revenue they hit. And this is something I did in the mistake. I thought, I'm going to give this person is very good with with people we were in touch in person. So let's give him the event leads. Bullshit. I wouldn't recommend this. Don't do it. You will only have 1-2 top performers, and you don't even know that your lowest performers are usually the top performers, but you just give them 2 focused shitty leads. So once we change this, team is super happy because everyone knows I have the same chance like my team member, and also, our numbers. I can optimize them much easier. If I know someone hits X, with a little bit tweaking, I can reach epsilon. And with even more tweaking, I can raise my ACV. I can raise my average new ARR or new revenue per month just by tweaking and improving my team instead of the leads, because the leads are already good. That's the job of my sales operations specialist, or sales ops and rev ops, that they tweak there.
That's such good advice. I love that. And I know that we've spoke about that. At the past couple of weeks, it's been a change that I've already implemented in my company. And now when we do our, 30-day KPI reviews, and everybody's looking at the leaderboard, it's like you guys all have the same opportunity. And so it makes them fight harder, instead of one guy getting, all the Google PPC leads that are easy laydowns, convert 1 out of 10, and then the other guy getting SMS leads, right, that are converting 1 out of 60. It really shows who's putting in the work, who's the top performer. So it's been a huge pivot in our business. It's been really, really helpful. So
exactly. And also what the other thing, what it does, and I realized that, is the team member, the sales team member, they get, all of them, they get the best lead, the same leads, and some of those funnels are the best leads, that they're the easiest convert. So what they do is they make them the first, they convert them the first, because they have the success moment, this additional motivation, which they get in the very beginning of the month. And then they say, all right, let's tackle me the other ones, which are more difficult, or they keep the good ones in the end and say, no, I'm going to start now with the difficult. And if I have a desperate moment, I'm going to go to the easy ones, get the motivational push, and then go again to the bad ones. So it all depends on the team member, but I realized that they really try to motivate themselves with those good, these equal distributed leads. Yeah.
I love that, man. Well, we are running short on time. I have one more question for you. I like to ask everybody that comes on. What is one quote that you've been sitting on or thinking about lately that you're trying to kind of live your life more like?
A quote? I don't know. But what I'm definitely doing now is being a role model in, let's call it, work activity. So previously, I know that when I work a lot, then the team will work a lot too, because they see, Peter's the whole time online, he's coming up with this and this. And I realized that it's not healthy for them. It's not also healthy for me, obviously. So when I work outside of the core time, let's call it, then I do it silently, because I want them to think like, hey, it is fair to rest. It is fair to take time for yourself and for your family and friends. And that's what I'm trying to do. I try to be a role model in spending quality time at home. It's not a quote, but that's something I realized, not only for myself, but only for my team, that this is also a great performance push for them. And it leads to the point that when they are online and they have to work, they will work 100% and not thinking, let me do now 80% because I know I have still to deliver outside of my core time.
I love that. That's a quote by Peter. We'll put that on the wall over here. So awesome, man. Last question. Where can people find out more about you? Maybe they're interested in TaxDome, they're interested in career opportunities, or they just want to learn more about you. Where can they reach out?
I mean, I sent you the link to my LinkedIn. Please feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. Happy to chat if you need something. Anyone who listens to John, has also the opportunity to talk to me. So please feel free to tell me that you're coming from John's podcast. And if you look for opportunity, yes, we are hiring always. If you feel like SaaS is something for you and you want to be in this culture which we created and trying to improve and grow every day, always happy to look for new candidates.
Awesome, brother. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on. I know everybody's going to learn a lot. I know I learned a lot. This is the Zeroed In Podcast, signing off.